السلام عليك يا حبيبي يا نبي الله. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا حبيبي يا نبي الله يا رسول الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers in our group and around the world. Once again, it is me, your host, Abu Imran from Kenya, together with my brother from Tanzania, Abdul Karim Ramadan. Welcome once again to another meeting of Sheikh Imran students from East Africa. Ba'udhu billahi min shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana li hada wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. As always, we usually open our meetings with a recitation from the Holy Quran, and today Brother Abdul Karim is going to recite from Surah Al-Khaf. Brother Abdul Karim, welcome. Greet our viewers and our students in the group, and then you carry on with the recitation of the Quran, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhiruh. We thank you for your welcoming, and I thank for this pleasure. I thank Allah for the life that He has given us. At this moment, we can share our views on matters pertaining to our religion and our global as well today. So I'd like to take this moment to greet everyone, particularly in our group, and all the Muslims who will be viewing this program, who will be watching our meetings. I greet them with the peaceful greetings, which is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين.
Ameen.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قالوا يا ذا القرنين إن يأجوج ومأجوج مفسدون في الأرض فهل نجعل لك خرجا على أن تجعل بيننا وبينهم سدا. قال ما مكني فيه ربي خير فأعينوني بقوة أجعل بينكم وبينهم ردما. آتوني زبر الحديد حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين قال انفخوا حتى إذا جعله نارا قال آتوني أفرغ عليه قطرا. فما استطاعوا أن يظهروه وما استطاعوا له نقبا. قال هذا رحمة من ربي فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا وكان وعد be
Did I just lost you, brother?
yeah,
You're there.
yeah, I'm there.
Thank you, mashallah. Thank you for the beautiful recitation from the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Qaf. There is a lot of questions and a lot of interesting facts with that surah. It has been quoted several times by beloved Sheikh Imran Hosein, and he has taught that this is the surah of Akhir Zaman, surah of our time. Maybe you could share with us some of the benefits and the knowledge that we can draw from this surah, from the verses that you have just recited, brother Abdul Karim.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhiruh. We thank Allah for His kindness, to which at the very last time, in this last age, He has sent us a great scholar who has revived part of the knowledge, part of our deen. He has revived a subject in Islam which explains about the reality of the world today, which is the branch of knowledge on eschatology, ilmu akhiru zaman, the study of the end times. So, as we can see now, the reality of the world today, whereby our Prophet communicated to us a knowledge, whereby he said that whoever wants to be protected from the trials, from the fitna of Al-Masih al-Dajjal, in order to survive the last age, he has to recite Surah Al-Kahf. In fact, this is the only surah which has been made as a protection from the fitna of Al-Masih al-Dajjal. So in this surah, there are many lessons that we can learn from this surah. Apart from that, it is a protection from Al-Masih al-Dajjal, but there is a lesson we can draw from this surah. And in summary, as we have recited the verses concerning the story of Dhul Qarnayn and the people who ordered him to raise a barrier between them and the people of Gog and Magog. And the Quran identifies to us that these Gog and Magog are the agents of fasad, agents of corruption. These Gog and Magog are human beings, no more human beings like us. But the only difference is that they were, the trademark of these people is they are agents of fasad. So the people wanted a barrier to be protected from the fitna from the corruption of these people, Gog and Magog. So Dhul-Qarnayn, because he was a man of righteousness, what he ordered to them, he didn't want any tribute from them. What he ordered them is to help him with manpower to raise a barrier which will be made with iron blocks, and with molten copper which is poured on it, to an extent that these people, Gog and Magog, could not scale that barrier, neither could they dig the barrier. So that was the moment when the chaos in the world could have ceased, because the Gog and Magog were contained for a certain moment. But that's not over. Dhul-Qarnayn said that this is the mercy from my Lord to enable me to raise this barrier. But one day when the promise of my Lord will draw closer. One day, when the promise of my Lord comes, he will scale this, he will break this barrier down. So when the comes down, when the barrier falls down, it means when it commences, the barrier, the breakage of the barrier means what? Means the release of Gog and Magog into the world will commence. So what will we witness? It means we will witness a world which will be filled with corruption, filled with facade everywhere, facade in politics, facade in economy, facade in monetary system, facade in the medical treatments, everywhere facade, facade in knowledge, the secularization of knowledge. So these are people who are agents of facade. So it is time for us now to return back to the book of Allah, to explain the reality of the world today, in order to locate who are these people who are bringing this facade in the modern age. That is a short view of what we have recited today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That seems to be a very interesting story in the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Qaf, about the Gog and Magog. Some people believe Gog and Magog to be some creatures from the comics book, but thanks to Sheikh Imran, they are people just like me and you, because there is a word in the Quran which is used, fasad, and it is only the human beings and the jinns who can commit fasad on earth. And our brother has given us references about fasad in, you mentioned about fasad in social life, okay? Dajjal's sexual revolution, facade in education system. There is facade, even in science, there is a lot of facade. We are being told that now they are rolling out 5G and AI. This is a technology, but it's being rolled out to kill the spirit of the human, to kill the intellect part of the humans, the way we are created by Allah, because the machine will be doing everything for us, and it will render our capacity to think, our capacity to be creative, it will render it useless, because now everything will be taken over by the machine. So I think it's a very important subject. We are going to set a meeting, or we are going to set a program to discuss about the Gog and Magog and the verses which a brother has just recited to us. Very well, let us go to our today's topic. Is about Hijrah, and we are going to tackle a subtopic. The main topic is Hijrah. We are going to deal with this topic from now on and 3 days to come. We shall just have this topic in our meetings, but we shall divide it into subtopics. So today's subtopics on the Hijrah part is let us try to find Hijrah in the verses of the Holy Quran. Let us try to find Hijrah in the hadith of the Holy Prophet, and also some references, historical, Islamic historical references where we can find Hijrah. My brother, going back to the Hijrah and tackling the subtopic, please share with us, share to the viewers, share to the group about some references in the Holy Quran of Hijrah. Please go ahead.
Okay. Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhiruh. It has to be remembered that the Prophet said, before I touch into the Quran, the Prophet said in the hadith that Hijrah will not stop until the door to repentance is closed. And the door to repentance will not be closed until the sun rises from the east, from the west. So it means it will reach a time that there will be no more Hijrah. It will reach a time there will be no more repentance. And it will reach a time by that time the sun will rise from the west. If we understand this literally, that the sun will one day rise from the west, it means we can wait and wait and wait, and we'll never see anything happen. It will be like we are living in a Disneyland. But we have to understand that the Quran and the Hadith of our beloved Prophet ﷺ have come in two forms. They are part of the verses and part of the Hadith which are to be understood literally and as muhkam, and the others are to be understood as mutashabiha. They have to be interpreted. We have to use ta'wil in order to explain them. So the sun rising from the west is part of the knowledge communicated to the mankind as mutashabiha, as ta'wil. And when we explain this, is that the modern Western civilization, which has emerged from the Western world side of the world, this was the symbolization of the sun rising from the west. Because Allah said in the Quran, when Ibrahim was making a conversation with Namrud, he said, Inna Allah ya'ti bishamsi min al-mashriq. For surely my Lord causes, for surely Allah causes the sun to rise from the east. So will you try to make it rise from the west? That was impossible. And Allah further said that La tabdila li khalqillah. Allah will never change in his creation. The way he created the universe, the same order will be maintained until the end of the world. So we have to understand that it will never happen that one day the sun will rise from the west. This is not to be understood as literal, but we have to understand it as mutashabiha, and this is the modern Western civilization. So if the modern civilization has already emerged into the world right now, and this is meaning that the fourth sunrise or the sun has already risen from the west, what does it mean? Will this now mean that the hijrah will no longer be valid? Does this mean that tawbah will no longer be valid? No. We have to go further into hijrah. The Prophet said that time hijrah will no longer be there, because mankind will abandon this action. Mankind will abandon this act as part of their religion, because they will be attracted to the pleasures of the world. They will be attracted to the modern Western civilization and assume that this is the best civilization which has ever emerged in history. So
just
they will
to cut you short,
move in.
the sun rising from the west, there are some people who argue that it is both metaphorical and it is both a reality. One day the sun will rise from the west, and also it can mean the modern Western civilization, the godless system of the modern Western civilization. Do you concur with such people who say it is both the sun rising from the west physically, and also it can imply the modern Western civilization? You can apply the hadith on both these scenarios. Is it correct?
I'm of the view that what is trying to be communicated to us here is the modern Western civilization and not the physical sunrise. And as we can see that the Quran has stated very clearly that Allah can never change in his creation. Nothing will ever happen. The sun will always rise from the east until the end of history. Ila yawm al-qiyamah. So what I was trying to explain is that if the sun has already risen from the west, and the ibadah of hijrah will be left, this means that it will reach a time mankind will no longer consider hijrah as part of their religion. they will move in an opposite direction. Instead of moving from the mega city or from the Western civilization way of life, moving in an opposite direction back to the villages, back to the rural areas, back to the remote countryside, they'll be moving in an opposite direction. They'll be moving from the remote countryside to the mega cities. So their deen, which is hijrah. And this is the moment right now. We can never hear our scholars speaking about this part of deen. In fact, away from sin, to change your soul. So they only explain that hijrah is for within your own nafs, within your own self. But they are not explaining it as an act of movement from one region to another. So this is a part of my view that hijrah has been abandoned, but the ibadah still is valid. And as we go to the Quran, there are some verses whereby Allah has said, Ya ibadi alladhina amanu inna ardi wasi'ah fa iyaya fa'budun. O my servants who you say that you have believed, for surely my earth has enough pleasure for you to seek refuge. So make your best effort. Make your preparation in advance in order to ensure that you can worship me. So this is what we have to do. The Quran is still enforcing us to move away from the mega city and go to the remote countryside.
Thank you very much. For further readings, we encourage our viewers from the group to look at Surah Nahli, verse 41. They will also see a reference of hijrah in the Holy Quran. I will read you a translation of the English. And those who immigrate for the cause of God after they had been wronged, we will surely settle them in this world and in a good place. But the reward of the hereafter is greater, if only they could know. So you can read for yourself, verse 41, Surah Al-Nahl, and also Surah Al-Tawbah, verse 20 to 22, Surah Al-Hajj, verse 58 to 9, Surah Al-Hajj, verse 58 to 9. We'll get references of Hajj, and also Surah Al-Imran, verse 195, Surah Al-Nisa, verse 100, and Surah Al-Anfal, verse 75. There is a lot of verses in the Holy Quran that talks about hijrah, that teaches about hijrah, to move from places where you cannot practice your ibadah correctly, places where you're being forced to do things which are not in par with your religion. You move to other safer place, and Allah, the reward of Allah is very great in such an ibadah, in such a move. Thank you very much. Very well. Let us go to historical references of hijrah among the Sahaba, among the prophets of Allah, and such other references. Brother Abdul Karim.
We have a reference that this part of our religion, this is part of the religion of Islam. And Islam did not come for the first time with Nabi Muhammad. Islam, not only with the Prophet and not only with the Sahabas, with his companions. The Anbiya, the prophets who came before our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they also made hijrah. Let me take this reference to Prophet Noah. Prophet Noah made hijrah when he left and he entered into the ark. And he told his son, "Oh my son, get into the ark. The storm is coming." But his son didn't want to hear his father. So that was part of the hijrah, knowing that the destruction is coming upon to the world. So he made hijrah into the ark. Nabi Lut made hijrah, knowing that Allah was going to destroy these people who are engaging in the act of homosexuality. So he was ordered to take his family and leave the city when the angels were going to destroy the city. This was hijrah. Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam made hijrah when they throw him into the fire, and Allah said, Ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Be safe. Allah ordered the fire to be safe and cool for Ibrahim. And then after that, Ibrahim said, Inna ma'iya rabbi sayahajirun ila rabbi sayahdin. For surely I am now engaging in hijrah, and my Lord will guide me. So he left Babylon and went to Jerusalem. This is the father of Al-Anbiya, Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. Nabi Musa made hijrah when they, from Misri to Madian, and where he went and met Nabi Shu'aib. So when he heard that the chiefs are now planning to come and kill him because he killed one person by fault, so he had to attempt to leave Misri and go to Madian. This was hijrah. What about Nabi Isa alayhi salam? Nabi Isa alayhi salam is no longer with us. He's not in this material universe. He is in another dimension of space and time. Allah raised him unto himself. This is hijrah. He is not with us anymore. Our Prophet ﷺ made hijrah when there was oppression in Mecca. And it was difficult to establish religion in the community because those people who were engaging in shirk, they were oppressing the Muslims. So it was very difficult to establish the Jama'ah, the authentic Jama'ah in Mecca, because they were denied their rights, like performing the Hajj, like performing Salatul Jama'ah. So what did he decided? He decided to make hijrah. He left Mecca, went to Medina, and he ordered his companions prior before the hijrah from Mecca to Medina. We have a record that there are some of the companions of the Prophet who left Mecca and went to Abyssinia to seek refuge from a Christian king who was someone who had mercy, and he accepted them, and Najashi. So this is hijrah also. And the Prophet left Mecca, went to Medina, and also his companions later, one by one, left Mecca, went to Medina. So this is part of the religion. And what we wonder right now, it is very astonishing that we are not witnessing our scholars speaking about this ibadah of hijrah. They are emphasizing that hijrah is within your own soul. You should stay away from sin. That is hijrah. No, there is more than that. There is hijrah, living a godless world and seeking refuge to the remote countryside. And when I want to, when I'm ending up with Surah Al-Kahf also teach us a protection from the fitna of Al-Masih al-Dajjal. So the young men of the cave, they had to flee away from the people who were godless, to flee into the caves. So they went there, and Allah showered them with His mercy. So that was also hijrah. So this, from that perspective, this is what I could say about this ibadah of hijrah.
Thank you very much. There are those people who say that hijrah is something that maybe they are not in the position to make hijrah. Maybe they are weak in the land. Maybe there are restrictions of border. Maybe they are not financially well to make hijrah. Maybe they have not seen a suitable place where they can go to seek refuge to make hijrah. What do you have to tell about these people or this kind of Muslims?
There is no an excuse in the Quran. There is not any direct excuse from the Quran because the people are dying. The angels are taking their souls. And then when the angels are taking their souls, they question them. إن الذين توفاهم الملائكة ظالمي أنفسهم قالوا فيما كنتم. The angels are taking the souls of these people who committed dhulm on their own selves. So the angels are questioning them. Why are you dying in this state of dhulm? What's the reason that has made you reach this fate? So they say that kunna mustad'afina fil ard. We were people who were weak. We had no any other alternative. So that excuse cannot be considered.
Thank you very much. That's a very good lesson to ponder because most of the people, when you introduce this topic of hijrah, their main concern is their ability to make hijrah, or they say we cannot find any place where we can seek refuge, where we can be safe and we can practice our deen. But according to the ayah which you have just quoted, it is actually mandatory. Which part of
continue?
Carry on.
Continue Surah At-Tawbah, verse 24. Allah has warned greatly, very great. He has warned, and there are 8 things which they are like chains, which they are shackling the man. So Allah says that if your fathers and your sons, your relatives, your wives, if you are wealthy, your businesses, your house that you love, if these are the privilege to you beside Allah and His Messenger and fighting in the cause of His religion, then wait until the Amr will come. The Amr is what? Wait until at the time when Allah will send down His Amr. So there are things which everybody normally gives an excuse. What about my business? My business will collapse. What about my house? What about my children? What about carry on the hijrah?
No, thank you very much. There are 2 kind of obligations. Farad. There is the farad al-ain and farad al-kifaya. Farad al-ain is obligatory to oneself. When you successfully carry out what is supposed for you to carry on, then you have fulfilled the obligation upon your own self. That is a farad al-ain. And there is this farad al-kifaya, which is if a community, 1, 2, 3 members or 10, whatever number, they fulfill this obligation, then the whole community is safe from blame from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no sin upon them. Like maybe the funeral rites on a Muslim, that is an obligation of the community. It is not an obligation of the self. So when few people in the community undertake this obligation, then the whole community is safe from blame from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With the salah, the 5 daily prayer, that is the obligation to oneself. When you do not perform it, you are in for it. You'll be blamed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if the whole community performs salah, but you don't perform salah, then you will be, you would have committed sin. So I want to take you back using this example. How can we categorize hijrah Is it farad on oneself, or is it farad of the whole community?
Hijrah, it is the farad of the whole community, but except for some people to which Allah could give an excuse. There are some people who are known as al-mustaba'afun. Al-mustaba'afun. These are the people who are weak. The only people who Allah consider them as weak are the women's, are the children's, and that the men who are disabled. But for the rest of them,
So these
men who are
al-mustadafun, they are exempted from making hijrah. They will not be blamed if they don't make hijrah, owing to their situation.
This maybe these are the people whom Allah could forgive. Maybe the verse says maybe these are the people whom Allah could forgive. But
Very
for
well.
the rest of them, and Allah said that, why are you not striving in the cause of your Lord in order to liberate the oppressed, the women and the children and the men who are disabled? They are constantly crying, they are constantly begging, they are constantly asking for Allah to remove them from the godless world, from the cities of oppression. And you are just sitting, you are doing nothing in order to liberate them. So these are the only people whom Allah could give an excuse. But apart from that, but still, it is an obligatory for every Muslim in order to protect his faith in the last age, in order to protect him or herself from the fitna of Al-Masih al-Dajjal. He has to stay away from Dajjal. He has to flee to the remote countryside. So it is faradu ain.
Thank you very much for your views on hijrah. This was our topic today, footsteps towards hijrah. And inshallah, Allah give us knowledge and courage to fulfill this obligation that is required by our deen, inshallah. I beg to end the meeting here. If you would like to add your parting shot or maybe your closing remarks, this is the time. Tomorrow, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi al-kareem, we are going to continue with this topic of hijrah, but we are going to tackle another subtopic, the condition for making hijrah, and we are going to see whether this condition have been met in our life, in our today's life. Because some people are saying, no, it's not time to make hijrah. We are free to pray. We fast in the months of Ramadan. We give zakat and we give sadaqah. We go to hijrah. Yeah. So they are saying there is no condition to make hijrah. So we're going to see tomorrow in another meeting the condition for hijrah, inshallah. Your closing remarks, Brother Abdul Karim Ramadan, before we end the meeting.
Okay. Maybe I take this moment to remind the Muslims, remind everybody who still has part of faith in his heart, one who is not filled with oppression in his heart, to go back to their religion, to turn back to Allah, and to seek for an explanation on the reality of the world today. Because this is the moment now, as we are witnessing in the last age, there are many things which will happen, and including the things which will happen, Allah said, our Prophet, our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that among the signs of the last age is that knowledge will be raised, knowledge will be taken away, and ignorance will prevail. So these are among the signs of the last age. And what do we call illegal sexual intercourse will prevail. Adultery, illegal sexual intercourse will prevail. So these are among the signs of the last age. So in order for one to protect his faith, he should seek to understand the reality of the last age. how can he make that effort? The first thing, you have to understand that the mastermind of the world in the last age is a Masih al-Dajjal. And Gog and Magog are the agents or the means through which he uses to pursue his agenda. So you have to seek, you have to amass your efforts in order to find for people who are teaching the subject on Islamic eschatology. You have to protect yourself from Al-Masih al-Dajjal. And the first thing, you have to recite Surah Al-Kahf on every day of Jummah, so that Allah could bless you with nur, and with that nur, you could be able to see things which cannot be understood in their external form. You'll be able to understand with their internal reality. So you have to recite Surah Al-Kahf in every day of Jummah. You have to recite the dua in every salah to seek protection from fitna of Al-Masih al-Dajjal. And you have to find people who are teaching the subject on Islamic eschatology, because these are the only people who are engaging their efforts in explaining the reality of the world today. So unless you do this, you could never achieve. How could you protect yourself from the fitna of Al-Masih al-Dajjal if you do not have the knowledge on Al-Masih al-Dajjal? So I'm taking this opportunity to remind our beloved Muslim brothers and sisters and our beloved scholars to at least wake up now, to go back to the Book of Allah and search for that which explain about the reality of the world today.
Very well indeed. The reality of our today's life is different from its appearance, and it is upon the Muslim to research and to educate themselves about the world we live in today. Brother Abdul Karim, please let us end the meeting with the dua. Until tomorrow, we are going to tackle the same topic within the subtopic of condition for making hijrah. Brother Abdul Karim, dua.
ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم
Amen.
وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم.
Amen.
اللهم وارزقنا اتباعه
Amen.
وأقل باطله وارزقنا اجتنابه. يا
Amen.
مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك.
Amen.
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة
Amen.
وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار
Amen.
برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Amen.
وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
وصحبه والحمد لله رب العالمين.
See you next time.
Thank you very much. Until we meet tomorrow, بإذن الله الكريم.